saying, he was that, he's held him back for this guy.
I'm like, I guess you're closer to the. Yeah. Like half the time you got your scarf like this and you're oh yeah, it was a fun week. I mean, they were before Deborah stayed here both 3 nights.
3 extra nights. Oh, darn, I hate that.
One of the nights, I was just telling them, one of the nights, their boiler went out.
Oh,
So we had to. But thank goodness, we were up higher. Because the heat rose and kind of stayed, and only got to maybe like 62. So we just slept for the bed.
she'll be downstairs.
Like 3 days ago,
What a lady.
I know.
It's just all good.
But no.
But I guess it's Shirley.
I think the most miserable time, which actually was one of my favorites, but I wish
Alfonso?
That's probably the perception he got, because it was.
All right, 1:45. Here we are now in the home stretch. So let's start with kindergarten. And then we'll do first grade, and then we'll finish up with second grade. Okay? What I would like the teams to do in that order would be to give us kind of an overview of what the text is about. So kind of give us a summary of the text, if you will, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page with what the text is about. Okay? And then take us through pre-reading, discussion, short writing, and then the narrative questions. And what I'd like everybody to do is to, I think there's going to be a great opportunity to learn from one another here. Okay? Great opportunity. One of the things that I'd like each group to do is especially the discussion questions. Be thinking about what standard are the discussion questions going after. Okay? For each of the groups, what standard? Or they could be more than one. Not necessarily just one. But with each of these discussion questions, what standard is in view? Okay? Kindergarten, take us away.
We chose the Little Red Hen. Do you need to know any more? Well, this one has the rooster and a mouse in it that they wanted to ask, for them to help, and she asked them to help plant it, water it, and stuff like that, and of course none of them did. Then the Little Red Hen took it to be ground, and the rooster and the mouse wouldn't participate, and then she made it into bread, and they didn't participate. What, am I doing wrong? Okay, and then she made it into a round, shiny loaf, but nobody would help her. And then when it came out of the oven, it was warm, fresh bread, and the rooster and the mouse were the first to the table.
Did they have butter?
Of course they were.
So, the next time she found some, the
Wait, did
rooster-
they get it the first time?
I don't remember.
Did it
I
say?
don't think so. They didn't get to eat. But the next time, they participated in all activities.
And they got to do what at the end?
They got to eat. but the next time they also had some jam.
Hey.
That's cause the rooster was there.
All right, good text. If you want to enjoy the spoils, you've got to do some of the toil. Is that the idea?
Right.
All right, take us through your questions.
Oh, no, that was my part right there.
Pre-reading question.
Pre-reading, there we go.
Do you like bread? Do you know how bread is made? Have you ever helped your mama cook?
Ooh. Thoughts on those pre-reading questions? And any others that might be a good idea to add? How about, have you ever not wanted to help somebody? And why did you not want to help that person? It's totally legitimate for the student to say, because I didn't want to. I mean, all right, what about discussion?
This relates to 3. Why didn't the other animals help the little red hen?
Oh, why did the other animals not help the little red hen? Really good. I think you could also say that it's connected with 1 as
Yeah,
well.
1 and 3.
1 and 3, yeah, for sure. Yeah, good.
All right, what happened after Little Red Hen made the bread? And that,
Okay.
you're going back to the 2, what, when, where, and why
Yep,
in number 1.
Yep.
And then for the short constructive response question, did she let the others eat the bread? Did Little Red Hen let the others eat the bread? Why or why not?
ooh, that's good. I forgot, does the text say explicitly why she wouldn't let the others eat the bread initially?
No, but I'd be telling they were lazy. They're lazy. I don't want to help you do nothing.
In which case, then they're drawing an inference, right?
Yeah.
Which is
She
great.
did say, you didn't help me,
That's, I couldn't remember whether there was a detail about where the
so I ate
little red hen
myself.
says, well, you didn't help me, therefore. Okay. Good, what about the narrative?
And to finish the story before you get through the whole way, what happened after she finished baking the bread? What do you think happened at the end of the story after she baked the bread and after they wouldn't help her? Do you think she let them eat anyway?
So this is, you would cut it off, you wouldn't read the whole
No,
story?
no. You know, and it's like we said, even if you did your first read and read it all the way through, your second read could be, what other ending did you think could there have been? What else, you know?
Yeah, come up with a different
Yeah,
ending?
come up with a different ending.
That would be cool. That would be really good. Kindergarten, that was really solid. Comments, questions for the kindergarten group?
Awesome.
Yeah. Getting these 5-year-olds reading this text actively. What cool stuff. I want to come to your class. I want to participate in this book club. Seriously. Book club. Are any of you in a book club? I am.
I used to be.
Book club is one of the most meaningful parts of my life. I'm not a big
But you
fan.
love to read. A lot of people don't like to read.
I challenge that. Everybody likes to read something.
They're interested in it.
We don't all agree on, we don't all like to read the same texts. But everybody likes to read something. It could be an Instagram feed. It could be Shakespeare. It could be everything in between. But everybody reads something with joy and interest. That's my argument. I know, book club's meaningful because some of my best friends are in it. And some of the smartest people I know are in my book club. And
I have a question.
we live in Atlanta now, but we used to live in Athens. So, yeah.
Did Malcolm Mitchell ever come to your book club?
No, but I've heard that
I just ordered his book.
Isn't Malcolm Mitchell the guy who joined a book club in Athens and it really changed the way that he read books?
He didn't know how to read when he got to college.
It's a fascinating story.
The guy
Malcolm
joined the
who?
book club. Oh, Michael Mitchell.
Mitchell.
I think he's
Huh.
from, he's from
He's in,
somewhere
he was
South
a
Georgia,
UGA
Savannah.
football player.
Yeah, I knew he went to school.
We're actually
there.
trying to get him to come here.
Oh, gosh, yes.
We filled out the application, but I don't know yet. We're working on it.
Could I put in, if Malcolm Mitchell comes, can I be a can I just be a fly on the wall?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Nice. Kindergarten, really good stuff. Really good stuff. First grade.
We'll go, that we're ready.
Our story titled The Garden from Frog and Toad Together.
Frog and Toad, all right.
Frog and Toad. So in the beginning, Frog has this beautiful garden and Toad sees it, and he decides that he wants a garden also. So Frog decides, he'll help him. He told him what to do, to plant your seeds, give them water, give them sunlight, give them some time. But Toad had no patience at all whatsoever. None at all. So he yelled at the seeds and...
Whoa, hang on a minute. He yelled at the seeds?
Yeah, to grow. Now seeds start growing. He had no patience at all. Well, if I got to show you. Anyway, thank you for moving. Anyway, so of course, Frog tips, well, of course, they have grown. Leave them alone for a few days. Let the sun shine on them and let the rain fall on them so they start to grow. So that night, he looks out the window, and of course, they have not grown. And he thinks that they must be the most frightened seeds ever. They're scared to grow. Well, he sang songs to them. He read poems, played music to them, all of these things, and he still says, these must be the most frightened seeds in the whole world. So he felt tired and finally fell asleep. Well, the next day, Toad comes by. Well, Frog comes by and says, Toad, look at your garden. And it finally started to grow. He says, at last, shouted Toad, my seeds have stopped being afraid to grow. So, of course, now you have a great garden, Frog says. Yes, says Toad, but you were right, Frog, it was very hard work. But very impatient, like a lot of our students when they start from he was very impatient, don't want to give up. So, 3 reading questions. Do you have a garden? What is a garden? What are some things that grow in a garden?
Those are good pre-reading questions. How many of your students know just flat out what a garden is?
Some do.
Yeah, you're right.
Might not know the word garden, more field. Or farm.
Yeah.
But I kind of understand the gist of, maybe not necessarily the word.
Sure, yeah. I'm intrigued by the question because it's always interesting. That question's always interesting to me. For instance, this morning we were talking with grades 3, 4, and 5, and one of the texts that we read in grade 3 had to do with this kid who's in 3rd grade who started this dog walking business. And the grade 3 teacher said, I think that we should have a pre-reading question about what dog walking is. They said, people in this geographic area don't really, like, their dogs just kind of like range. You're on your own. The whole notion of somebody walking a dog may be a really foreign concept to students. So back to pre-reading. Same thing with the garden, right? If you feel like most of your students would know exactly what a garden is, then maybe go with a different pre-reading question. If not, though, that's a really good one. Okay? Discussion.
Okay. What lesson does Toad learn?
What lesson does Toad learn?
And how does Toad react when his garden doesn't grow quickly? Use details from the story.
Can I just offer one comment? What lesson does Toad learn is a really nice, developmentally appropriate way of asking what the theme of the text is. So what lesson Toad learns is really connected with which standard?
Or 2, 3.
2. Although I think you could say that 3 is in view as well. Why? Why is 3 also in view?
How he responded to the garden.
That's right.
And second was how does Toad react when the garden doesn't grow?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Our short constructive response question, how does Frog help Toad?
How does Frog help Toad? One thing I will throw in there is be sure to use some details.
Right, we wrote that.
Okay, sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, okay, and then last, in the story, Toad tried many ways to make his garden grow. Describe how you would make your garden grow.
Ooh, read that prompt one more time.
In the story, Toad tried many ways to make his garden grow. Describe how you would make your garden grow.
Describe how you would make your garden grow. Yes, I like that one. Or, if you wanted to turn it into more of a story prompt, how could you slightly reword it? Because as it stands, like if you were going for a narrative there, you could see some students just kind of like writing a report, right? Well, I would do this, and then I would do this. How could you turn it into slightly more of a story prompt? Like, writing standard 3 is all about narrative writing. How could you prompt students to actually write a story there?
You could say, like, pretend you have your own garden, what would you do?
Yeah, pretend you have your own garden. Write a story about how you would make the stuff in your garden grow. Things like, something along those lines. But I really like the spirit of that prompt. It's really good. And great pre-reading discussion and short writing questions. Why do I say great? Tight alignment to the standards. That's what I think is always, it always needs to be in view. Let me throw out a point that's probably worth mentioning to people at any grade level. But I'm glad I'm talking about it with y'all. Kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. You start to get into grade 3, for instance, and that's when kids start taking summative assessments, like end of grade assessments. All of the reading comprehension questions on end of grade assessments, take a guess at what standards are being assessed. In their totality, 1 through 9 for literary, 1 through 9 for informational. 10 is just what? Read a bunch of different types of stories or nonfiction texts. So if, as a school, y'all have really a good understanding of what these things are saying, what a great, I think you could expect students to do well over time, not just on discussion questions that you ask them, but when they are on their own and they're taking something like an end of grade assessment. Why? Repeated exposure to the types of things that these things are asking our kids to read for. So that's why I'm constantly going back to, yeah, those discussion questions are really great, and great is defined by tight connection to those things. But also, really accessible. Instead of asking 1st grade kids, what's the theme of the story? And a 6-year-old's going to say, what in the world are you talking about? If you instead said, what lesson does Toad learn? You're asking the same question. You're just asking it in a much more 6-year-old friendly kind of way. Yeah? Okay. Table in the back. I forgot, what grade level are y'all?
1st.
They were all together.
Oh, so did you guys work together? Or did you
No, well, we did our own,
do it.
okay? And we don't have the book, so we're gonna read a summary.
Please
Is that
do.
okay?
That's more than okay.
Okay.
Wrong.
Okay, hold on, let me get this fancy phone to work here. Okay. All right, so we did The Kissing Hand by Audrey Penn.
The kissing
So
hand.
everybody just imagine the kissing hand. You know the raccoons?
Okay.
Kissing hand? Okay. The first day of school is starting in the forest, but Chester Raccoon does not want to go.
To help ease Chester's fears, Mrs. Raccoon shares a family secret called the kissing hand by giving him a warm, gentle kiss right in the middle of his little raccoon hand. Mrs. Raccoon tells Chester that anytime he feels lonely or overwhelmed, he can place his palm with a kiss on his cheek and he will know his mother loves him. Chester gives the same reassuring kiss to his mother's palm, then happily joins the rest of the nighttime animals in the great tree. Both Chester and Mrs. Raccoon learn that their love is deep, endless, and always present on this important day in both their lives. Okay, so for our pre-reading questions, we said, who knows what these animals are? You know, holding up the cover. And then, why do you think she's kissing his hand? And for our discussion questions, we said, how did Chester feel on the first day of school? And how did you feel on the first day of school?
Ooh, I like that.
RL3.
Yeah, I like how you start with 3 and then you move into a connection to yourself. That's really sharp.
And then for our short constructed response, we said, you know Chester was nervous about beginning school. So how do you think Mom felt when he left to go to school?
Ooh. Does the text give us any clues as to how Mom felt?
Yeah, she puts her hand up to her face.
Oh.
He kissed her mom too.
Because you know where I'm going with this. Because the second part of short answer is going to be, what detail or two could you use from what you've read to prove your answer? Definitely ask for that. With first grade, even kindergarten, or even second grade, but kindergarten first, maybe even in the second grade. On the short answers, I said yesterday that I think it's a good idea to press for 2 details, but even if just 1 would be good as a starting place for kids who are 5 years old, 6 years old. By the time you get up into second grade, I think it's a good idea to start really pressing for 2, because by the time kids move on to grade 3, that's going to be the expectation in grade 3, is that for these short answers you bring in more than 1 detail to support your answer. But that was a good short answer question. And then your narrative?
Explain why you think Mom kissing his palm and him pressing it to his cheek would make him feel better.
Okay. Thoughts on that narrative?
I don't know if I wouldn't let them answer a short, like a yes or no, and then explain why.
Or, you know, put themselves into it. How would it make you feel? You know, you were nervous and Mom did this. How do you think it would make you feel?
Yeah, you could create a little scenario where the student has to imagine something and then write a story about what that experience was like. Yeah. And there would be similarities between the scenario that the student is asked about and then what you get in the text. So the kissing hand, of course, would be a part of it. Right? Yeah. So yeah, my feedback for that one would be similar to the feedback for this one for grade 1. Just like if you could just kind of work to contextualize that question more as a story prompt. You know, asking kids to actually write a story. Say it again.
Tell about their first day of school.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Those looked really good, though. Sounded really good, should I say. Okay, grade 2. That's very nice. That's very polite.
This is a story called Half Chicken. It's by Alma Flora Ada. Alma, is that right? Did I say it right? It started out with an essential question of why are some stories told over and over again? And then I'll read the first page and then I'll just kind of tell you a little bit about it.
Sure.
It says, have you ever seen a weather vane? Do you know why there is a little rooster on one end, spinning around to let us know which way the wind is blowing? Well, I'll tell you. It's an old, old story that my grandmother once told me. And before that, her grandmother told it to her. It goes like this. Well, it starts out it's on a Mexican ranch, and a mother hen has a bunch of chicks.
that she's sitting on, and they start a litter, is that what you call it?
Brood.
Bunch of eggs.
Brood.
What I said?
You said cheese.
Oh.
A brood.
Brood. I knew there was a word for it. And one, they all hatch but one, and it has trouble hatching, so mother hen has to help. Well, when it's hatched out, it doesn't look like the rest of the chickens. It only has one wing and one leg, and one eye. So it's half of a chicken. All the other animals on the farm or on the ranch make fun of the poor little half chicken. So one day, we got really upset with the turkeys because they wanted to know why he was only half a chicken. And so he left. He said, I'm going away. And this is his quote. Goodbye, goodbye. I'm off to Mexico City to see the court of the viceroy. So you would have to explain what is the viceroy there. And I'm assuming it's like a king of Mexico. What?
It's a palace.
A palace. The court of the viceroy is the palace. But the viceroy is a royal person.
Cartoon.
What did you say?
That's why it's a party out. They don't run.
So much Breaking Bad, huh?
So anyway, he goes off and he runs across fire, wind, and water. And he helps these three things in some way. And at the end, or towards the end, he's about to be cooked by a cook. He's boiled by a cook, by a chef. And the wind says, well, you helped me out, so I'm gonna help you out, and he puts the fire out and saves the chicken. And so then he makes it on to the backstory, we're assuming he does tell that. The story does not finish.
All right.
Okay, Rebecca has. the
Okay,
question.
so our pre-reading, the first question is, why are stories told over and over again?
Yes.
So you've got to make sure they understand what a folk tale is to begin with.
Yes.
And then, have you ever seen a weather vane? I mean, some kids may not know what that is. and
Right.
You can show the picture and they'll understand that. And then, where do chicks come from?
Yep.
You gotta make sure they know where it comes from, before you read. Our discussion questions, we start with 1 and 3. Why do they call him half chicken? Why is that his name? Because a lot of kids would really question, well, half chicken,
Great question.
The next one, we start with 5. Why does half chicken leave the ranch? Because in the book, it keeps repeating the same words over and over again that he's going to Mexico City.
Yeah.
So you've got to know why he leaves. And then the last question we did was RL2. What lesson did this folk tale teach the reader? And our kids already kind of know what a moral is, so you could even throw in that vocabulary word to learn, what was the moral of the story.
Sure. Yeah. Questions about their discussion questions or comments? Yeah, those sound
Breaks
really.
it down to where they understand what you expect of them.
I agree. One question that I had about your second one about, you said it was aligned with structure, number 5. Can you clarify that?
Well, with 5, it talks about the overall structure, which is the beginning, middle, and end.
Right?
And why does he leave the ranch? Or is that what he calls it? The cause and effect. Because this happened,
sense.
and he had to leave.
Yep, makes total sense. Thanks. I get it. Okay, how about short answer?
All right, the short answer we did with 3. How does half chicken feel at the end of the story? Use details from the story.
Good. Good.
Does he feel like he accomplished what his mission, or and they might say, our kids would say, well, he might have felt good. We'll use the details from the story. Why did he feel good? Or why did he feel like he accomplished that?
That's right.
And then their writing prompt, which was with 5, what
Ooh,
So they have to kind of finish the ending of that. You know, if he didn't leave, then what would have happened?
yeah. So do you think that you should tell students to kind of like write an ending where he stays?
Yeah.
That might add just a little bit of clarity for the students, and you're still getting at the same idea, right? But I love it. Yeah, nice sequence there. Really good sequence of questions.
We also talked about this story could bring in, differences in people,
Uh-huh.
bullying,
Yes.
a lot of things.
Yep.
Life cycle, a lot of things.
Oh, definitely.
A lot of point of view is covered in here too, because you have the flames speaking and the water speaking and the different, things are speaking in here.
You're right. So 6 might actually be, there might be a good opportunity for a discussion question about 6, huh? Okay. Good work. My sense is this. You keep doing some variation on this template, and by the time your kids get to the writing questions, they're gonna have read carefully and be in pretty good shape by the time they get to the writing. By doing what? A lot of this about what they've read. So we read, we talk about what we read, we write, and language is involved in both writing and talking. So just to review, an integrated approach to literacy instruction. I can't endorse it enough. One other thing that I'll share with you before you take off is this. I'm going to create a little Google folder for this school, and you'll see there'll be folders for kindergarten, first grade, all the way through 5th grade. I'm also going to share the fiction template and the nonfiction template with you, so that if you just want to keep going through examples of pre-reading all the way through writing and share them with me, and we can just bounce ideas off of one another, that would be one way that we could really keep the conversation going. Furthermore, so I would invite you to do that, to share out some completed. I will never stop thinking that's funny. I would invite you to share out your templates with me. Another thing that you're going to see in your grade level folder is just a folder that says student responses. So if you want to share out some of your students' responses to some of your writing questions as well, I would invite you to do that. I'll give you my perspective in terms of what feedback I would give to your students. So in other words, the collaboration does not need to end now. In fact, I hope that it just keeps going. Don't be a stranger. There are a couple of slide decks that I shared with you, one today, one from yesterday, that I'm going to pass on to Tammy as well. At the very end of each slide deck, did I show you my contact information yesterday? Okay, let me show it to you right now. So at the very end of each slide deck, there's my contact information. So please do not hesitate to get in touch. There are a lot of ways that we can keep in touch, so I would invite you to do so.
How do you say your last name?
Like your chin, Rachinsky. No. The CZ is like a CH. Okay, questions or comments before you take off? All right, it was a real pleasure to hang out with you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Was that it?
Get out the light, take a breath. Questions? We need one more activity. Come on.
One more book.
Come on, Dr. Rick.
Laura's gonna read.
I thought you would have been excited about getting out of the way.
Mine did not tell me the number. Did they even start it off? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They couldn't find it on the number chart because they didn't have the number period. But then some of them could tell me what it was supposed to be. They couldn't write it on the paper. Well, I don't know, you don't want to know.